Hey all, this is 012Boku coming at you with another movie review in the... Shoot, I wanted to do a Christmas thing, but I had no idea of how to do that. I'm just like, so is there a way to do that? Or hey, but I really don't know how to do that at the moment. So yeah, I'm like, little lost for where... Stop fiddling with your camera, Zach. Don't know what's going on, but sorry about that. Well, obviously I'm gonna say my thing was maybe a little bit moved over more, but not too sure. But either that or I've been moving my Christmas tree without my knowledge because I know my Christmas tree was in the shop a little bit. But oh well, see the little tail end of it here. But anyhow, as I'm getting off topic, I'm coming at you with let me try to do sleigh bells. Shing, 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 shing. I'm coming at you with a Christmas movie that I hope to upload by Saturday, because I guess I will do it for Christmas. And I'm coming at you with let's see here, this movie right here, Disney's A Christmas Carol. It's one of the ones I had just seen. I mean, I've watched several movies this year, but I'm sitting here thinking, every time the holidays come around, I'm gonna try to do a movie to fit it since I'm trying to do a movie review every week. And I figured, why not? Let's do one of my favorites. I'll probably try to do my most favorite at some point in the future years coming, but this is definitely sort of up there in the favorites because Disney's A Christmas Carol is it's from the computer animated movies that Robert Zemeckis did, Beowulf, Polar Express, and I think a couple other live action films he did. This was done in 2009. So in some ways still pretty recent, maybe a little over that. The film's already over 10 years old. In fact, it's, it is actually 12 years old now. Yeah, the film is 12 years old now. And so yeah, I guess it has had a little time to it. And, it was directed by Robert Zemeckis. You guys probably know him for the Back to the Future. Doing the writing for, 1941, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and also What Lies Beneath, Castaway, and quite a few other well-known films from, Robert Zemeckis. But he did this film, and this is a retelling of A Christmas Carol. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen many versions. I really like A Christmas Carol. I own several of them myself, including Disney's A Christmas Carol and All Dogs Christmas Carol. I have the old Mr. Magoo's A Christmas Carol from the half-hour show they did of the Scrooge Tale or A Christmas Carol. I have the Alistair Sim version. I have the Muppets Christmas Carol. I have the Patrick Stewart version. I have my favorite, the George C. Scott version. I have this version. A Christmas Carol is a great film. I love it, and it really matches up today for what it stands for, the standard. At least I think so, anyway. But this film deals with this man here, Ebenezer Scrooge, and we see him. This film, the Disney one, begins with Marley just being dead. A prequel to the 7 years of him being dead. And we see Scrooge is getting ready to bury Jacob Marley. We see Scrooge, being this old, gnarled man already. And, the funeral undertaker is wanting him to pay expenses. Scrooge is wanting to pay it. We see him part with the coin. That's really hard for him to do. And then the funeral undertaker is asking for a second coin. His hand's still outstretched. He's sort of, grinning a little. He's like, come on, dude, for my services, you have to expect more. And then all of a sudden, Scrooge, like this, slowly raises his hand to to put his second coin in, and he does it, and it's like shocking for him to see how long it takes, and then all of a sudden, he, as penance, he doesn't want the top put on Jacob Marley yet, because he takes the coins from Jacob Marley's eyes, it's a way to keep the eyes shutting the soul in with the whole coin thing, or something similar to that, to guide them on their way to the afterlife. And Scrooge just takes the coins and he jingles them at the kid, and the funeral undertaker saying, tuppence is tuppence. Basically being the stingy, evil, greedy man who just like, hey, Mr. Hacking and Mr. Poole come in. They're trying to get Scrooge to, oblige to helping out the poor. Scrooge doesn't want to do it. He, says that his taxes pay for the prisons and the workhouses. The poor need to go there, and if not, they're better off dying or decreasing the surplus population, in a very always evil line, no matter what version of the movie that you see. And, Jim Carrey, who plays Scrooge, I'm just going to mention a side note here, really brings in a lot of Alistair Sim. He looks like Alistair Sim from the original Scrooge movie, and he seemed to have a lot of fun. I'll get into that a bit more later. But as we see, that just happens with Scrooge. Scrooge closes up for Bob Cratchit. He reluctantly lets Bob Cratchit have the day off of work to be with his family. He expects him to be there all the earlier the next morning. Scrooge heads home, and, Bob Cratchit heading home, happy to be with his family on Christmas Day. It's Christmas Eve, spending time with the family as you do on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Scrooge heads home, and everything with the Marley's ghost happens in a great visual. Like, Marley's head is on the door knocker when Scrooge gets to his house. The mouth opens up and a scary, yell, where you hear, Marley go, "Dah!" like that, and it sends, Scrooge squabbling back, scared out of his mind. He goes through the door. He's at his house, just nervous, scared by what he's seen, doesn't understand it. All of a sudden, he's trying to sit and have dinner, and then he hears the bells of his house ringing, like someone's at the door, wanting the door to be answered. All of a sudden, the bells stop, and you get the classic creaking and cranking of Marley coming up the stairs, and then in some versions you have Marley slam the door open, and other versions the door opens slowly with Marley entering. In this one, Marley doesn't even I believe open the door. I think he jiggles the handle of the door being locked, and then all of a sudden you have these huge green ghostly chains of the apparition of Marley come through the door, and Jacob Marley comes in. He's got his head wrapped around in the cloth, his jaw seems to be broken, looking very creepy and gnarled and just dead from his past life. And when he died, Jacob Marley died of some sickness. We don't know what, but he died of some disease or sickness that killed him the 7, Christmas Eves ago. And, Marley's there in the classic fashion, wanting to save Scrooge, giving him a chance to atone for his sins. Because Marley says, I wear these chains because I got them by only caring about greed and myself. I never cared about, a family, myself, friendship, the fellow man, the common welfare. And as, Marley's explaining this, Marley gets upset because Scrooge is like, you don't need to worry about those things. And then Marley's jaw breaks open, and he's holding it compassion. Knowing that his jaw's broken, he hilariously puts it back up to where it's stuck. And, Marley gives Scrooge a chance to save himself by the 3 ghosts to not live this terrible lifestyle anymore and be this evil person. And also I'll mention in the scene as Jacob Marley goes away, you have Scrooge who gets pulled by Marley's chain at the window to where we see the other souls, including Jacob Marley in purgatory, trying to help this poor woman and her baby. And you have a lot of ghosts just floating around her saying I'm sorry. All these other ghosts banging their heads on the things that they coveted in life, or money, or other things similar to Scrooge. And just a very, very creepy and also unsettling scene. Shocking that Disney did this, but I give Disney all the credit in the world for wanting these visuals and showing these things, as well as Robert Zemeckis wanting to present it in this way. And, the three ghosts come into play after Jacob Marley, gave Scrooge's chance of being saved. So, I believe it's it's at the stroke of one that the Ghost of Christmas Past appears. And the Ghost of Christmas Past appears as a boy who is a candle. And like a candle flame showing the light of truth or the light of someone's past. And the Ghost of Christmas Past takes a reluctant Ebenezer Scrooge to see his past, to where we see Ebenezer Scrooge as a lonely boy, at a boarding school with no friends or family. Ebenezer Scrooge as a teenager who's basically just ripping up paper. His little sister Fan, who he loves, comes in and greets him. Fan saying that his father's willing to let Scrooge come home to be with them for Christmas, and Fan and Scrooge hug. Yeah, we also get reminded that Fan broke up with him, leaving him there sad and dejected, but it just hardened Scrooge's heart and had him become a way more odious and evil person, forgetting who he was. And right before the Ghost of Christmas Past leaves Scrooge, we see all the friends friends and relationships Scrooge used to have, and all the things that he wasted. Scrooge puts the cap on the Ghost of Christmas Past. He goes flying up to the moon like a rocket, and with the cap, and back down to his bed, to where he then meets my favorite spirit in the Christmas Carol sagas that we have all made, and that is the Ghost of Christmas Present. To where the Ghost of Christmas Present in this one he's not just tall, he is truly a giant, and is very tall, is as tall as buildings, and dwarfs Scrooge. Scrooge has to grab on to part of the Ghost of Christmas Present's robe, he grabs onto the robe tassel, to where the Ghost of Christmas Present gives him a heavenly view of man's perspective, which, Scrooge is actually excited to see this. And there's actually a cool part to where, Scrooge notices that the poor's going to a bakery that's basically only open for a little bit on Christmas to get food, and Scrooge calls the Ghost of Christmas Past outside. "Look here, Ghost of Christmas Present, you've closed these people's means of warmth and staying, and knowing things from the church and all these different things that keep them finished for business for a year, or something to do with business, that you close the businesses on this day to keep people from getting food." And basically the Ghost of Christmas Present goes, "Hear this, Scrooge. There are many men who claim to know me and my brothers, who do things apparently in our good faith. These so-called men of the cloth know that they have only done things in our name, but have never truly meant them, and only say things in their word. They are no friends to me or my brothers," or something to that same thing. Basically saying that these men say and do things in the name of goodness and in the name of God, but they keep doing greed and unspeakable evil. I thought that was a nice little touch that Robert Zemeckis added to the Ghost of Christmas Present, talking about how there are even people within the church who do have the ability to do evil and corrupt things. So I liked how he added that in there. And then the Ghost of Christmas Present brings Scrooge to Bob Cratchit's house, to where he's seeing the Cratchit family all happy for Christmas. Scrooge is seeing how Bob Cratchit lives in a very small house. They have a small goose, not enough to family. He sees Tiny Tim, who is sick and frail. He starts to warm up to Tiny Tim and the family, but is also filled with regret for it, that the Ghost of Christmas Present makes him watch. Bob Cratchit does a toast to Ebenezer Scrooge. The family, and Mrs. Cratchit especially, dusts it off. Bob is saying, "Come on, we have to show charity and compassion. It's Christmas Day. I know you're right, but we have to be at least better than what Scrooge is." And, they do the toast, but they give the toast dejectedly as well. And then all of a sudden, you see the Ghost of Christmas Present whisk Scrooge away to his nephew Fred's house, to where they're spending the time, making fun of Ebenezer Scrooge's uncle, and, like, you have Fred say, I'm going to offer him the invitation every year, he misses out on family, friends, a good meal. Uncle Scrooge has no idea what he's missing. So, or Uncle Ebenezer. I think he does say Uncle Scrooge a lot, but I know in some versions they do say Uncle Ebenezer, because you should say it by his first name, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes. And then all of a sudden, you have the Ghost of Christmas Present have him and Scrooge leave the party, and you have it to where he's in this old clock tower, to where the Ghost of Christmas Present shows Scrooge ignorance and want. Basically, these ratty, like, bony, evil-looking children who Scrooge is fearful of. And, as the clock strikes midnight, to where another Christmas day comes for the future, the Ghost of Christmas Present, in a creepy scene, turns all gray and white, starts dying. He's clutching his heart, but he's laughing as he's dying, and he's laying down on the ground, starting to die, and then you have Scrooge basically ask the Ghost of Christmas Present, don't ignorance and want have no refuge, no resource. And then you see how the boy ignorance becomes a balding man who's like a criminal with a knife trying to stab him, and he ends up in a prison just growling at Scrooge. And then what becomes this type of prostitute going around Scrooge all sensibly, and she says, are there no workhouse? Yeah, because that's what the guy says. That's what ignorance says to him. Are there no prisons? And then she's like, are there no workhouses? And then we see her, just essentially going around Scrooge. But then all of a sudden, she's put into a straitjacket and just hauled away screaming, to the point to where you see Scrooge just watching the ghost took all his stuff and his, even stuff off his dead body, and is selling it to the pawn shop. You have Scrooge go back to his bedchamber, I believe full well knowing that it's his dead body. The Ghost of Christmas Future wants him to look. Scrooge refuses. Scrooge then, goes to see Bob Cratchit because he wants to see some depth of feeling, because everybody else is not giving him the time of day. He sees, like, debtors. He sees, like, people he's credited and people he's in debt to, or people who are in debt to him, happy that he's dead. He's saddened by this, wanting to see some tenderness. He sees the Cratchit house. Bob Cratchit and the Cratchit family are talking about how Tiny Tim has died. Ebenezer Scrooge feels really bad about this now. He's, like, crying at the head of the stairs, and you see Bob Cratchit crying and, not being able to finish his sentences. He starts, and this is what I like too, he starts heading up to the top of the stairs, and, he stops right in front of the spirit essence of Scrooge, almost like knowing that he's there, staring a hole through him almost. And then Bob Cratchit keeps continuing to where he goes to Tiny Tim's room, where we see the shadow of Tim lying on the bed dead, and Bob Cratchit crying over his son. And then, Scrooge wants the Ghost of Christmas Future to conduct him on to where Christmas Future brings Scrooge to the graveyard, to where Scrooge sees his gravestone, begs that he wants to change, and that he knows that, he can alter these shadows and change things for himself. And ultimately, is Scrooge is hanging on to life from a roof where he sees a coffin right below him, to where he knows he's going to die at some point in the future. He, falls into the hellish red coffin, meaning that he's going to end up in hell, but falls into the hellish red coffin, realizes he's back home, and that the spirits have spared him and are giving him a second chance. And we see the complete, as always, awesome transformation of Ebenezer Scrooge. He's happy, he's giddy, he's happy he has another chance. He asks the boy what day it is, the boy tells him it's Christmas Day, and then, Scrooge has the boy go buy the prize turkey to bring to Bob Cratchit's house, so Bob Cratchit's family can have a nice Christmas dinner. You have, Scrooge scaring the hell out of Mrs. Dilber, happy and dancing with her as Mrs. Dilber runs away saying, like, Ebenezer Scrooge has gone mad! And, just all those different things that are just awesome to see. And, you have Ebenezer Scrooge playing like a kid, him just like being nice to people. He runs into hacking again at the end of the movie, wanting to help out the poor. We don't know how much money he gives, but we know it's a lot of money because he tells hacking that he's going to include a lot of back payments into it, meaning that he's going to do his word. He shows up at Fred's house, wanting Fred to dine with Fred, and he's giving in to Fred's wishes finally, being there for family and friends. He's happy for it, and then at the end of the movie, he is there with Bob Cratchit, decides to raise his salary, and wants to help Tiny Tim get better. Bob Cratchit can't believe it, and he sends Bob Cratchit out to buy coal, to where Bob Cratchit narrates saying how Scrooge became better than his word and better than the old city knew him, and to us and all of us, as Tiny Tim observed, God blesses everyone, and the movie ends. I would say the actors and characters of note here are definitely, obviously Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey does a fantastic Scrooge. He does really good work on this. Not only Scrooge, but did a great Ghost of Christmas Past, Present, and Future. He did the characterizations for all of them. Was really good. I have to say his performance as Christmas Present was the best. And, that just came across really great about how, this person should be, or how people should be in the presence of Christmas, kind and goodwill to each other, but not afraid to scare the crap out of Scrooge if he needed to. Gary Oldman was good as, Bob Cratchit. Not the best Bob Cratchit, but he was pretty good. He also did Jacob Marley. He does a great Jacob Marley in this film, a really good Jacob Marley. Colin Firth is Uncle Fred. Colin Firth, or Uncle Fred, Uncle Scrooge's, or Ebenezer Scrooge's nephew Fred. Thank you, Ebenezer Scrooge's nephew Fred. Pretty good job as Fred. He did an alright job. Pretty good for what that is. Bob Hoskins is Fezziwig and Old Joe. I actually liked Bob Hoskins' quick little role here as Fezziwig, and it fit the movie pretty well. Robin Wright Penn did Fan and Belle. Nice little role for Robin Wright Penn. Pretty good in it. She was good. Carrie Ellis did hacking, and he was hacking Dick Wilkins, several partygoers, the Mad Fiddler, and stuff like that. Nice little roles for Carrie Ellis to do. It seems like he had a lot of fun doing this movie and like having fun about it, and that was cool that we got to see Carrie Ellis in another film as well too, because I think Carrie Ellis is a great actor, and I think he's been grossly underrated, and it was nice to see him be in this movie. So everybody did great jobs, but I would have to say the best performance probably goes to Jim Carrey for just playing all of the ghosts in this movie, and Ebenezer Scrooge, really great role. And like I said, he was very reminiscent to Alistair Sim. I know Jim Carrey's always been skinny, but very similar body type to Alistair Sim, skinny as well. The hair, the way his face looked. It seems like Alistair Sim was a huge influence for this movie, given that Alistair Sim has one of the best Christmas Carol movies in existence. Let's see. Final thoughts on the film. Another good telling of A Christmas Story. What I love about this one is visually superior than all the other films. The CGI allows so much more of the magic of time travel to come through, to see magical, like Scrooge is flying around a lot, or seeing these otherworldly views, which are just amazing to see in this movie. This film can be pretty creepy at times. The Bob Marley scenes are creepy. The purgatory scene is pretty creepy. Basically, ignorance and want can be creepy. Seeing the Ghost of Christmas Present die in this movie was downright creepy and probably scary as hell. The Ghost of Christmas Future is pretty dang scary. Skeletal, very Grim Reaper-like. I love how they use the visuals to tell a more dark and adult theme to the Christmas Carol. And I mean, the Christmas Carol has a lot of darkness in it because they're showing an evil man how to change and what his evil causes for other people, and or how people really just don't care about him. And I love how this movie has that come across really well. And I mean, all the characters did everything in this movie pretty dang good. So I have to say it comes across, really good. And, the CGI still holds up well for today. Great score by Alan Silvestri. Great use of Christmas Carol songs. And God Bless Everyone by Andre Bocelli, or however you say his name, is a really nice song. I mean, so overall, this movie's a great movie. I would rate this movie about probably I would give it a solid 8 or 9 out of 10. Solid 8 or 9 out of 10. The visuals are good. The story's pretty good. My favorite is the Alistair Sim and George C. Scott's version. But story's pretty good, and they get the message across. And, it turns out to be pretty good. And as per, I will give you some of the Rotten Tomatoes, like 1 or 2 reviews from this. I will give you the consensus because really quick, the way this is it makes me sad because I mean, after I saw this film the first time, I really ended up liking this film a lot, and I hate how it just like sort of gets crapped on here. But the audience give this film, or no, the critics give this film a 53%, which is rotten. The audience gave this film a 58%, which is rotten. I mean, I guess it's good because it's half, but I don't think this film deserves it. I would say at least a 60 to 70%. If you had to say at the least, I would say at most a high 70 to 80% rating because it's not the greatest Christmas Carol movie, but it's definitely pretty high on my list that I would put it. And the critic consensus, which is rotten, says Robert Zemeckis' 3D animated take on Dickens' classic tries hard, but its dazzling effects distract from an array of performances that from Jim Carrey and Gary Oldman. Do not agree with that. I do not think it distracts from it, but if that's what people thought, hey, that's your own thing. Let's see here. Let's see. Where was the one that we had? Well, a lot of these are recent, but I wanted the one from 2020 from last year. Oh, yeah. This is from Mike Massey, Gone with the Twins, and from November 28, 2020, and I quote, morbidly dark and frighteningly realistic, almost as if Tim Burton had a hand in the design. I agree with that. This movie has a lot of Burton-esque moments, but it also is, I would say, very reminiscent to what Robert Zemeckis does. So I would say it shares a quality like that. But I could definitely see how this is a Robert Zemeckis movie. A lot of Robert Zemeckis' styles show up well in this movie. And let me give you one rotten. And this is from Israel Paradise of Sensasine, or however you say that. And I quote, even though it is quite a loyal adaptation of the classic tale, A Christmas Carol doesn't quite manage to land as a Disney film. I would agree with that. I don't know why I don't know why you would give it a rotten review. I would say this fits the Disney Dark Age a lot better, but I give Disney credit for doing it. Like, this was a very creepy telling of A Christmas Carol, and I give Disney credit for wanting to do it. Yes, it may not fit Disney's mold, but I think it works very well for a movie, and I give Disney credit for taking the reins to do it. They had some balls in 2009 to let Robert Zemeckis do this version of the film. I think it took real big balls and guts to do this type of version. But however, now that you guys have gotten my opinion and I've read some of the critic reviews for it, what do you guys think of Disney's A Christmas Carol? Do you like this version? Do you think Jim Carrey and Gary Oldman, Carrie Ellis, Robert Zemeckis and all them did a great job on this film? Do you like the performances? Do you think the visuals hold up really well and stand out? Just let me know in the comments down below and let me know what you guys think. And as to this as well, let me say a final saying, do not be a bunch of Ebenezer Scrooge's, guys. Do what you can to make this Christmas good, to make your next year good. Let's start being better people, kind to each other, good to each other, generous when we need to be, thoughtful when we need to be. Always remember those that you have in your lives. So to all my best friends out there, to my best friend who is also my brother, I won't say her name on here, but you know who you are. Much love to you. I'll obviously give you a call, hopefully tonight when I'm done doing this review, and also around Christmas Eve. But, Merry Christmas to you, my friend. I hope you do well. Oh, Hawk, no. No, damn it. Do you need to go out, Hawk? So, let me at least finish this part and I'll take you out, alright? But, Merry Christmas to you, my friend. Sorry, I'm probably going to leave this bit in, but, Merry Christmas to you, my friend. I hope, you're doing well down there in Florida, and, you're taking care of yourself. Many blessings to you, and God be with you, and, miss you. And I know we will hang out hopefully soon again. I know we will. We'll get it going. We'll get it going. And, I know my family probably won't watch this, but, Merry Christmas to my family and to everybody else involved. I just want you guys all to have a good night and a, Merry Christmas, and just, be kind to each other. Keep that going into the next year. Let's start making these years a lot more better. Just try not to let the fears of COVID and everything else get in the way, all right? So just from me to you guys, deuces, and a very Merry, Merry Christmas. You guys be safe out there, okay? I'll see you again. Later.